Okay, sorry I did it that way, but I ended up taping once and I did this whole thing and it wasn't even on. So I like to know that it's recording by watching it before I have it pointing at me. Okay, I'm going to continue and finish from when I was, after 3 years of my first job, and I moved in with my boyfriend across state and got my new job. I started at this really nice hospital with a really nice advanced in the medical field oncology unit where they did stem cell and some exclusive surgeries in that, and so I felt really special working there. There were a lot of nurses my age that were hired, and a few of us looked quite a bit alike, and all our names started with M, and so the patients got us confused. And it was, but I mean, it was fun. They were fun. What am I saying? Oncology, what I'm saying is that it was a very supportive environment. I learned a lot, and I got some really good feedback and some really good evaluations. I felt really good about myself. I felt pretty stable. I had a couple of years of not being haunted by obsessive thoughts. Every day I prayed for it not to happen. Every time I felt an inkling toward a female, I prayed that it wasn't, that it was just maybe a spark of attraction rather than obsessing. There was still the stress of being gay and pretending to be straight and being engaged, and but there was no wedding date set. That was all kind of vague, really. Then it did happen again. I noticed it right away, right when it started, the very second, the very instant it started. And it was an actress this time. I'm going to tell you who, because right now in hindsight is kind of funny. It was Shirley Jones and her early stuff. But it just started out as a little thing and then gained momentum. Yeah, like a snowball going downhill, going faster and getting bigger. It's exactly what it was like. And then I started videotaping everything that was on, you know, like the Movie Classics channel. Taped the movie. I got all the movies she was in, like Carousel in Oklahoma. I got every episode of the Partridge Family on there. And then I had the internet. The worst thing for manic people. But I didn't know I was manic yet because it wasn't diagnosed yet. Up all night searching, printing out pictures, articles, and books. Bought books over the internet. I had this box that I kept all of this stuff in, and at any time I needed a fix, I would go and look in it. But I started to notice that the thoughts were coming faster, and the thoughts were becoming more intense, more violent. And sometimes I felt like I was, I don't know what cocaine must feel like. Meth and Valium and Percocet and morphine and heroin all together. And sometimes I felt disgusting, like I wanted to wash it off, and depressed and awful. And so and I started noticing some other things. I just had all these projects that I was doing. I made my own history book. for Irish history and Scottish history and English history, and I wrote this massive amount of awesome poetry, which I'd never done before. But what really got me was the insomnia, but all of it combined, vaguely something clicked, and I went to my doctor and I said, something's not right. My mind, I can't sit still, and my mind is just going so fast. It's like a mile a minute, and I can't sleep. And she said, has anyone ever diagnosed you as bipolar? No, but I was wondering about that. And I don't know why I said that, because I really hadn't been wondering that at all. I was clueless. And I did a big mistake that people do. Initially, I allowed my general practitioner to treat me. Big no-no. She, because I had taken these drugs before for a nerve pain disorder, we tried Neurontin and Tegretol for a mood stabilizer. And for the obsessive thoughts and anxiety, she gave me Zoloft. And in fact, she kept increasing the Zoloft to 300 milligrams. And Valium to help bring me down. Well, that Zoloft 300 milligrams just pushed me into a mixed episode. And what happened was, my brain was going and going and going and going and going, and I could not stop moving, could not stop moving. I could not sleep a wink for 2 weeks. I did not sleep at all. I was exhausted. My brain was the only thing that was holding me up. And I almost committed suicide because I needed the rest. And the thoughts, though, that were spinning through my head were only a horrible person would think of such things, in reference to the obsessional thoughts. Only someone from hell. Someone who's evil could think such things. You're a devil from hell. You should go back to hell. You're a burden on everybody. You're wasting air that someone worthy could be breathing. And I just needed the rest. I was exhausted, and I could see in my boyfriend's eyes that he was already thinking, I am going to be burdened with someone who is mentally ill for the rest of my life. I don't think so. And here's where I get bitter. I had been supporting us. The agreement had been, I would support us while he went to college a second time to do what he really wanted to do. And then when he was done, it would be my turn to go back for English literature or writing. Even though I loved nursing, I knew the stress was too much for me. I was good at it. I loved it. People benefited from my work, but I could not do it. And so, I kept calling my general practitioner and saying things are only getting worse. I can't do this much longer. I feel terrible. And she had the nerve to get pissy at me for something I couldn't control. Here she is, dabbling in something she has no business dabbling in, by the way, in my opinion. Something she obviously knows little about. You know, someone who's bipolar is manic and you're giving them Zoloft in high doses. You know, I only weighed 110 or something, 5 feet tall. And so, anyway, she did finally say, you know, it's time to go in the hospital. I had taken a leave of absence from work anyway, so I was not functioning for work. But the official diagnosis was bipolar 2, and I'm not really, but that was just because of the fact that I had been working, which didn't make any sense because of the mess that was really going on that I somehow managed to work through. It was obvious that it was bipolar 1. And that's me to my diagnosis. What's going to follow in the next video is going to be kind of vague and maybe haphazard because it gets kind of messy and a lot happened and not much help. So, see you then.